Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Hi, Sue. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Raj. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, I know. So welcome back to you. Welcome back to everyone. It's been a couple of months break. I hope everyone's had a fantastic start to 2022. I can't believe it's February already. Time is rolling on as always. So we're
Yes.
back with our next installment, episode 8 of Biomimicry Online Live. My name's Roger, founder of the Expedition Project, and we're here with Sue Swain, founder of Biowise, and we're going to be talking about a few things biomimicry once again, and in particular, Sue's amazing biomimicry online courses, which are now available. So Sue, the last time we were delving a little bit into module 4, which is all about connecting with fellow life on Earth. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. And so, biomimicry as a way of being is just about reconnecting in general, reconnecting with our own inner animal, as it were, and then also with the life around us. So
Perfect.
that's a really important part of it.
Yeah, so let's have a little, just a reminder, a little recap to everyone about what Module 4 is all about, and then we're going to dive straight into it with a couple of really interesting topics. So have a look at this.
The theme of this mini-course is reconnecting with life on Earth. But before we get into the actual reconnecting side of things, let's quickly unpack that word reconnecting. Obviously, it means to connect again. But what are we actually implying when we say we need to reconnect? Are we saying that connection has been inadvertently or intentionally severed? Has it been lost? Or perhaps we've just consciously forgotten about it, or have even lulled to sleep our awareness of it. Or maybe the connection is broken, maybe a barrier exists that separates us. And another thought is, what kind of connection are we striving for? Are we desiring?
So the last time we spoke about the sort of introduction into connecting with fellow life on Earth, and now this time we're going to do a little continuation with that, and then go into a little bit of detail about journaling. So it's a very interesting. I don't know if you want to give a little bit of an introduction, to this module in general, just once again, or some of the topics we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, sure. I think, the purpose of that slide that you showed now was to really get us thinking about the current disconnect that we have and where that stems from, how it came about, because often it's in the knowing of that we are then able to start actually reconnecting. And of course, the disconnect is only that which we have created really in our minds. We're completely and absolutely intertwined, coexisting with life on Earth. It's just that we've forgotten that, we have fallen asleep to it almost. And yeah, so this is about finding ways in which we can actually just enliven that again, reanimate our connection, as it were.
I was just about to talk about something, and I thought I'm going to give away too much on the video that I'm going to show, because I love how you talk about all the little things that you often just pass by. But I won't say too much more. I'll wait for some of the videos that are coming up. But the first one. So let's just have a little bit of an introduction to taking it further from what you said and what we spoke about last time. So let's have a look at this little clip.
The best way of connecting fully with life is to make it a deeply personal experience and to go out there and actively connect with the life immediately around you. Now, for most of us living in urban environments, this involves training ourselves in finding the life around us and then in mindfully engaging with that life. And this will take some practice, and in some cases it might be quite a challenge. But there may be wild places that you could visit, or there may be a spot in your local park where there are trees and shrubs going, where you can just go and sit quietly and be with that life. Of course, you may have a garden, in which case you're surrounded by that life and the opportunity to engage. Maybe there are street gardens that you normally just walk past, only maybe briefly appreciating the sights and smells, but not much more. Or perhaps the only wild to be found is that which is growing on pavements or in cracks between paving. That life that one may perhaps normally regard as a nuisance. But what if we took the time to just stop and look and marvel for a moment at the incredible resilience of this life that is surviving against all odds, having the barest amount of soil to grow in, still gamely living out their purpose and blooming, hoping to attract a passing insect who'll visit and provide a pollination service in exchange for sweet nectar. This plant, this life, still bringing color to the world despite the circumstances. Perhaps if we stop to look and think, we may start to feel a stirring of connection inside, a stirring of respect and awe, a stirring of gratitude.
That's the bit I was thinking about. Absolutely love, but I won't talk too much. I'll let you take it from there, Sue, and maybe you can speak a little bit more on that.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed that section, Raj, because I do think it's important for people. You know, some of the urban landscapes that people live in, there's really not a lot of wildlife immediately around, but I guarantee you will find life persists everywhere. And it's just taking the time to notice and really going out with donning that lens of let me find life around me. And I think, you know, what's also interesting is through that kind of reconnecting, you can also often just identify with that life form in maybe things that are happening in your own life. You might be going through very challenging circumstances, for instance. And here you come across this dandelion weed, you know, growing in this crack, about to be potentially going to be trodden on and all that, but just going for it and living out its purpose, you know. And so I think there's a whole, it opens a whole doorway to connection that maybe we don't even think of as well.
It's interesting. So whenever I speak to someone who's not a natural conservationist, environmentalist, nature lover, anything like that, you know, some comments that sort of come through is, you know what, I've got too much to worry about, to have to worry about nature, to have to worry about those surroundings that aren't immediately, you know, imposing on my life or immediately important, so to speak, on my life. But it's actually quite the opposite, isn't it? It's that very nature that can actually release you from that stress. It's those little things you're speaking about, noticing those little things that it can just be so important in whatever your situation and so vital to who we are.
I love how you worded that, you know, release you from your stress. The reality is that there's this concept in Japan called Shinrin-yoku, which translated literally means forest bathing. And that means, you know, bathing in the essence of the forest through your senses. And, you know, I'm not saying we don't all have access to forests and things like that. But for people who are so disconnected, so caught up in this unreal world we're actually living in, who fails to understand that every single breath we take is thanks to our connection with the natural world. You know, it really is something for particularly those kind of people to just stop and think for a moment that why now is nature connection, time spent in nature, is actually being regarded as something essential. Doctors are now actually prescribing it for people suffering from depression and stress and that. So in Japan, it's recognized within the formal health system as something that's as vital as that tablet you might seek to take. So the science is in terms of connecting with nature is essential for our mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. And, really it's time we take cognizance of that and just open ourselves up to enjoying that connection again, and to start understanding that that's the real world. We kind of are living in a self-created virtual world, which does leave us empty and in despair and feeling lonely as a species, because we are alone in that kind of living. Whereas when we start living as the rest of life starts living, you actually start developing a sense of belonging as well, which I think is critical for our mental health.
Just a reminder to anyone watching live or on replay, post your questions in the comments section of where you're watching this video. We'll either answer it live if you post it in time. If you're watching it on replay or we don't catch the question in time, we can, Sue or myself will reply afterwards. Let's get the conversation going. As Sue I've been saying, since we started these live streams several months ago, it's all about the conversation. It's all about the community. It's all about, hearing your thoughts, your experiences, and getting that going. And I guess that leads us nicely into the next section of this, which is equally so important to me, and it's all about journaling. Now, I had a personal loss a few years ago, and what I started actually doing was starting to, make a journal and start to write more, because I suddenly realized, you sort of re-realize again the value of life and how important it was and stuff like that. And I personally can say how therapeutic, writing and journaling and all of that is. So, just loved seeing this section in this one of the lessons in module 4. So shall I show the little quick clip and then we can talk about it?
Go for it.
Okay, let's go.
Nature journaling is about looking deeply that we may see, and about listening closely that we may hear. And the value of nature journaling needs to extend beyond just a mere keeping of record or a collection of pretty pictures or a list of places, plants, and animals. The real value, as identified by John Laws, who has written extensively on the topic, is the fact that it can open up the world to you, open up whole new ways of seeing and perceiving the natural world, by training your mind to see deeply and with intentional curiosity. And that intentional curiosity is so important and so great. With regards to biomimicry as a way of being, where we're using nature journaling as a tool for reconnecting, we're saying the intent is to go out and spend time in and with nature. The intention is to keep a journal that we may capture and remember our experiences. The intention is to pay mindful attention. And the intention is to observe closely, to ask questions and then ask more questions, and to dig deeper, and then take time to reflect on those questions and see what answers percolate up from within us. And of course, the whole intention is for us to find our connectedness with life around us.
I love it. Intentionally curious, just always so thoughtful and articulate with all the phrases you use.
Thanks, Roger. A lot of thought did go into every like sentence and that. So yeah.
So did the journaling thing come naturally for you? Was that something that was just an easy offshoot of all of this?
Yes. Look, I'm not particularly good at drawing or comfortable with drawing, so I'm a bit more like I prefer to write, but that definitely is amazing. I use poetry a lot to draw me in, and poetry written by other people. And in fact, I'm going to read a poem for us at the end of the show. And but yes, I think journaling is so important in that it requires of us to make a commitment as such. And as I say, I think it's something like if you do something for 21 days straight, it starts to become a habit. And especially in our rushed lives, it's taking the time to just consciously slow down and connect. And I think journaling offers a great way of doing that. And also it's a means maybe of starting to open the channels to gratitude as well, to start seeing nature for more than, just the beauty and everything like that. Just what an extraordinary world and community of life we're a part of. And how we are also interconnected, and how, it's a means of finding similarity. So often I think we're obsessed a bit with our own species, and we focused so often on what makes us different, what makes us unique, superior, wada. And I think journaling also then helps us to start see the similarities, and to feel, we're actually all the same. We've all got very similar things we're trying to deal with. We've just got unique ways of dealing with it. Yeah.
If anyone out there starts taking these amazing modules as part of Biowise Online and Biomimicry Online, and you want to start sharing any of your drawings or your comments or your journaling, any bits like that you're happy to do. Obviously, there's a personal experience and journey for you, but if you want to, it'd be amazing to sort of get that conversation going as well. So yeah, we'd love to see it. So feel free to do that. And Sue, we've got a lovely comment that's come through from Isabel from Nottingham. She says, we were once given the opportunity at school to spend 2 hours watching an individual monkey and seeing how it interacted with us. At first, it seemed like a really long process, and a 12-year-old me definitely wasn't keen. However, after a while, it became amazing to me to watch the monkey and see how it responded to me, and also noticed me and started interacting with me. I felt so connected with nature, and it was a lovely moment. Yeah, such a nice little message there. I like that.
Wow, Isabel, yes, you've highlighted such an important thing, is that, when you start this kind of deep level engaging with nature, you start to realize that it's not only you who is seeing the tree, it becomes the tree is seeing me. We start being witnesses to each other's lives. And I'm sure that's a little bit of what Isabel was experiencing there. And for, to be engaged for 2 hours as a 12-year-old is phenomenal. And that's the power of nature. It's when you start actually seeing those similarities, noticing that he's seeing me, and what is he thinking? And it's absolutely extraordinary. And it's not only happening at a level with, a species like a monkey where we can see a lot of similarity, but you can see it with a chameleon, a praying mantis, a tree. It's incredible when that starts happening, when your eyes are open to or your whole senses are open to that level of engaging. It's simply wonderful.
I know you have worked and work with a range of different people and age groups. Is there a particular age group, so to speak, that is very fascinating to work with, that you found and you sort of noticed them picking things up in a different way or anything like that? Have you come across anything like that?
I think different age groups have different things. With the younger children, it is just that wonderful sense of curiosity and adventure and treasure hunts and things like that. And then with the older children, heading into the teenage years, it's really interesting to see, just how the cognitive skills start developing and really start then questioning as opposed to just curiosity. They're really getting drawn in that. And I mean, I love dealing with adults too. and seeing that spark of the inner child actually being woken up again, and the excitement and everything, to have just to be able to see again with awe and wonder, which is something, I don't know, we seem to lose as adults. So that to me is absolutely wonderful. I really enjoy that part of it too.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, that's the couple of topics we wanted to cover tonight. Just a reminder, anyone watching on replay, if you want to send us through any comments or questions, feel free to do that. We always want to hear that. Obviously, this has been talking about Module 4. Last time we spoke about the sort of introduction into reconnecting with fellow life. Today was a little bit about journaling. Up next, we've got the different ways of reconnecting. So the various different lenses, the system lenses, and the operating conditions, Earth's operating conditions. So Sue, I don't know, just before we sort of wrap up and give you a chance to do your poem, do you want to give us a little bit of a heads up to what's sort of still to come?
Yeah, but biomimicry does offer us the opportunity to use different lenses, as you've alluded to, and it's a means of drawing us in deeper each time, and starting to actually also see the system as well. We need to have this kind of dual function, and what's interesting is, I think, it also allows us to start maybe triggering that which is innate within us. We come from a hunter-gatherer existence, and I listened to a wonderful talk by Dr. Matt Zelstra, he got his PhD in nature connection, and but speaking about the fact that we are still trackers. We track the weather, we track. I can't think of other things now, it's gone out of my mind, but just what the traffic's doing and things like that. So we naturally have that. And an interesting thing that, though, is to understand that while you're tracking and being drawn in, you also need to be aware of what's happening in the bigger world around you. And so learning that skill is also one of the things we cover within the upcoming modules, in different lenses that one dons in almost in order to be able to connect more deeply.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, and yeah, what would you say is the main sort of takeaway you want people to leave with on the journaling side of things?
I think really just to get the essence of what biomimicry as a way of being is, which is this intentional or mindful way of being and of belonging in the world. And that it's really about establishing and living in rich relationship with the rest of life on Earth. So with that in mind, I thought what I'd do is read a poem by one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. And it's called When I Am Among the Trees. So now when I say this, she obviously highlights the trees that were where she lived. So, we can think of, well, what trees are close to me? What trees are indigenous to where I live? But here it is, and I hope I do it justice. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, stay a while. The light flows from their branches. And they call again. It's simple, they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much for doing that. Absolutely beautiful. What a nice way to end. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Sue.
Pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, Roger.
Oh, amazing. Okay, well, I think that's just a perfect place to finish it. Really, who could say better? So, our next live, where we'll be continuing with Module 4, is 3rd of March, so a month away from now. Usual time, 6 p.m. GMT, 8 p.m. South African time. In the meantime, please reach out to Sue, reach out to myself. Go and check out Biomimicry online at theexpeditionproject.com. So much amazing and thoughtful work has gone into the modules that are available there. All of them are available to be bought individually, but obviously best to go through the order at which they're designed, because it is obviously sequential, and it does go through step by step as you sort of take your journey. But give the first one a try, see what you think. You won't regret it. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, just thank you so much for joining in once again for tonight, and we'll see you next time. Sue, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks, everyone. And thanks to you, Roger. See you in March.
Thank you. See you guys. Bye.
Cheers.